This is Scale Her Up, the podcast for female-led businesses ready to grow to 7 figures and beyond. I'm Dr. Brenda Hector, business coach and champion for women in business. I'm on a mission to change the statistics and help more women scale successfully. Each week, we share real stories, tools, and tactics to help you build a business that supports the life you want. Follow the show and come and join our Scale Her Up Facebook community because you don't have to do this on your own. Jessica Sneddon is the co-owner of Soundbite PR based in Edinburgh. Jessica, thank you very much for joining me on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me. This is really exciting. Happy to be here.
Let's start, as I do with all of my guests. Tell me about Soundbite PR.
So Soundbite PR is a PR agency and we specialise in hospitality. So the area of our expertise lies in hospitality and our passions as well. And that covers everything from hotels, restaurants, working with chefs of all sizes, into restaurants and hotels of all sizes, not chefs of all sizes. But so it could be we've worked with some of the biggest hotels in Scotland from the old course, but down to your lovely restaurants with rooms that are maybe run by an owner operator. And then we also work within the sort of the tourism, the food tourism side of things and food producers. And so it's all very kind of all links into one another. So we have distillery clients as well as the hotel clients. So it's all works very much in harmony, and there's lots of interconnections between the businesses that we work with. It's been going for 7 years now, and we have a full-time team of 9 with a part-time team member who's based down south in Maidenhead, which is great because obviously our day-to-day life is working with the media. So it's lovely to have somebody who's down and can get into London, where the majority of the British media are located. Although I say that more and more, we've found that the media have moved out post-COVID. So there's a lot of great journalists living in Scotland, which is great for us. So we're going for 7. Yes, did I say so 7 years old we are? I think seven, and we started in 2018. Is that 7 or maybe 8? I lose track. And I co-own and co-founded Soundbite with my business partner, Martha Bryce. And we have, it started off just the two of us, and we had with one other person, and we're very lucky that the business has grown to where it is now. It's a really nice size and a really lovely team. And I'm very happy and pleased to say that our staff retention is very high. So we have 2 of our director level team members who have been with us for 5 years. So I think hopefully that is a testament that we're a nice place to work.
So tell me about the start, about deciding to found your own business. Talk me through that decision process.
Yeah. So I've been working in PR for all of my career, starting in terms of hospitality, working at the Balmoral Hotel in Edinburgh, which is pretty iconic, really. And most people would know it for the clock tower. And started off there many years ago, and actually worked alongside my business partner now, Martha. She was working at Visit Scotland. So she was bringing journalists to Scotland from Europe, putting them up at Edinburgh's premier hotel. And so we liaised on these journalist visits. And then I left Edinburgh and lived down south and worked in various different jobs within PR. For a while, I was a regional PR manager for House of Fraser, which was a slightly different direction, took me into retail. And then very much honed in on my love of hospitality. I met my husband at the Balmoral. He's a chef. Food and hospitality was very much part of my way of life and just a passion. And then eventually found myself in London, as many people do at some point in their career, especially in PR, working for a restaurant PR agency. And it was run by 2 women who had come from a big agency called Sauce. And Sauce was one of the first ones that had been found, one of the first sort of real restaurant agencies, and had really launched Gordon Ramsay's media career. So they were seen as absolutely the top of their game. And Amy and Zoe had been there, part of that journey, and had left and started their own business called Fanfare Communications. And I was their first full-time member of staff. And I was very lucky to land up there because they were brilliant bosses and they really gave me autonomy. They were, to take, accounts where I wanted to. And we worked across many great clients, everybody from Tom Kerridge to the familiar names such as Las Iguanas, the restaurant chain. So it was a real mixture of exciting clients and being in London was really fun, and new openings and looking after new restaurants were opening. But eventually we decided to come back to Edinburgh, and I was very lucky in that I was able to carry on working for Fanfare. And this was before the time that people did work remotely. So this was about 11 years ago. But I don't know. Anyway, I managed to persuade them to let me come back to Scotland and work with some of my clients, but also start to build some clients up in Scotland because I had the connection in the hospitality industry from having worked at Roccoforte and having my husband and just knowing some chefs. That was really helpful, knowing them on a personal level. That kind of was a really easy introduction back into Scotland. And I felt that there was a real niche in the market at the time for an agency that specialised in hospitality. There was a couple of doing it at the time, but it felt that there was definitely room for a new young business that could come. And there was such an opportunity of restaurants opening, really exciting, interesting restaurants opening, that it was a great time to be part of that. So I started picking up more and more clients, eventually just started to work for myself in Fanfare when we went our separate ways very amicably, and started picking up more clients, and eventually crossed paths with my now business partner, Martha, when I was really looking for a bit of support. And at that stage, I had a lady working for me, Hannah, and she was very early on in her career. So it was great. She was a real support. But at that stage, I felt like I really needed somebody that could pick up some meatier clients that I maybe had, and I didn't have the space to look after capacity at the time. So I just needed somebody that had that kind of real senior level ability to look after these clients and manage some accounts with me. So that was where Martha stepped in, our cross paths again fortuitously. And it was just wonderful to meet her again. And so she had her clients and did a bit of freelancing for another agency, and then did a bit of work with me. And we eventually were like, two heads are better than one. And we really helped one another. And it just felt the natural fit. Her clients were very much from the sort of food and drink producer and the food tourism side of things, and mine were much more on that hospitality side. So again, that's how it came together, and we brought our clients together, and it was a really natural fit. And as a business partner, we work very well. We're so compatible, even down to the fact that we're born a day apart. Brenda, I was born.
Oh my goodness.
Martha was born on Christmas Day, 1979. Oh no, they're now giving away my age. She was born Christmas Day and I was born on Boxing Day, so the day after. So we're both Capricorns, which may be a good thing or bad thing. There's some things we bury our heads in the sand together jointly, and other things that we work. We've just worked. It works really well, and I'm so grateful to have her by my side. That was everything. So
yeah.
So that's how it kind of background about how it all
So
started.
you've gone from two freelancers, solopreneur type, self-employed, to coming together and building a business. Is there a mindset shift that comes from going to building a business rather than just creating yourself a job?
Do you know, for me, it has all been very organic. And I don't feel like there was ever a time where I really thought, oh, I'm growing a business here. It has been so seamless and organic. And I guess there probably was a point where we went, oh, hold on, we've got quite a lot of team members now, and we've got an office. And so I guess it's those things that are the tangible things that you go, oh, right, there has been a shift. Yeah, we were working from my front room, and then we had an office, and then we had more team members, and then you outsource your accounting, you not do your own bookkeeping. So I guess it's all those little things, but I think they happen so almost gradually and organically. It's not like we went from, I guess if you were to open a shop, for example, or if you opened premises, that there's quite a big physical investment. And whereas I think when you're working for yourself in the way that we do, and it's pretty much you can just open a laptop and you've got and it's based on your knowledge. It's that kind of almost like a slow growth, and suddenly, look what we've got here, look what we've achieved.
So it's not until you look back that you see what's happened.
I think so. I think you don't realize it. And certainly in the way that we have grown, I don't think you realize it until you look back. 100%. Yeah. And you think, you take stock. Oh my goodness, look what we've got here, an office, and we've got our name on the wall in this office and a name outside the office, and all these things like proper business people have. How did we get here? That's amazing.
So if you could summarize how you got here, what would you like, just for the listeners, going from your front room to where you are now?
I think having a passion for the industry, being really passionate and interested in the businesses that you're working for, and wanting to know about their story and tell that story. Sorry, say the question again.
It was how did you get? But that's fine. Let me talk about your niche then. Let me talk about the passion. Have you turned down work because it doesn't fit with your niche and your passion?
Yes, and we do turn down work, but just by the nature of what we don't tend to get a lot of people coming that aren't within the industry. So we don't get any finance companies or any fashion retailers or beauty brands. So we pretty much say what we are from the outset. So it's unusual that would happen. But yeah, sometimes people come to us and they're like, my friend's got a lighting company or something. Do you think you could do it? And we just say to them, look, it's not our area of expertise. We wouldn't want to take your money. I wouldn't want to, and yes, I could build a media list. Ultimately, you've got the same tactics, but it's that understanding of the industry. And I wouldn't want to pretend that I understood about that industry, whereas I really know what I'm talking about within hospitality. And I think something that we work with is an amazing accountancy firm. And one of the things that they work with agencies. So their specialism is agencies. And what they say to us and time again is specialize. And businesses that specialize are the ones that are most profitable. And it's not that it's certainly not how we set out. We didn't say we want to be a really profitable business. And although, of course, we do, but we didn't set out, we're going to specialize in just what we did and what we were. But along the way, being reminded that is a really positive thing is always really helpful for us. Because I guess sometimes you think, if we just went out there and, oh, look at that agency, gosh, they must make so much money because they work in that sector. Or hospitality is not a lucrative sector.
I was coming to that actually. Yes.
So
To be fair, it's possibly a bit better in Edinburgh than it is up here in Aberdeen. But yeah, talk to me about the challenges that the hospitality sector is facing at the moment. I guess you're looking to help your clients to buck the trend. Yeah, what can people do? What are your thoughts?
exactly, it's a wonderful industry. Everybody is, and I think particularly in Scotland, we found everybody is so supportive of one another in terms of that industry. There doesn't seem to be that level of competitiveness amongst hoteliers and restaurateurs. We're all in it together, and I love that about it. It is a really challenging time. However, I do think there are still places opening. Places are still opening. People are still wanting to go out and enjoy themselves. I think what has changed is the offering that our clients they're having to rebuy what they offer. So they really having to think, okay, for 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even everybody was all about these fine dining, really interesting, big, long tasting menus that were showcasing incredible things. But actually now, but at a high cost. So you would go into a restaurant and all you would be given was, okay, this is the offering, and it's like £100 menu, and that's what you get. Whereas now, I think those kinds of restaurants, and we've seen that with clients that have had that format, they're now thinking, okay, actually, people want to be able to go and choose. They don't want to be forced to sit down and spend £100. They still want to eat good food, but they might want to pick a couple of things off that. So it's become a lot more, I would say, I don't know if democratic's the right word, but just the offering has definitely changed. And I think, and the industry has had to react to that. We have had this cost of living crisis. People are really conscious. Even myself, I know that a few years ago, and probably prior to having my daughter, when we did have a bit more disposable income, but going out and spending money on food and drink was something that we did on a regular basis. I think now we're much more cautious. We still want to go out, but we really want to get that value for money. So I think operators are understanding that is that value for money. But a lot of the people, they don't want to compromise on their standards and the quality that they're offering as well. So it's a fine balance. And one of the things that I think our clients have struggled with a lot is the customer understanding the actual cost of the whole experience. So the food on the plate now, it's not just the cost of the ingredients, but again, if you want to have that amazing ingredients that's sourced locally and is beautifully produced and ethically produced, and you're reducing those air miles and that costs money, but so does all those other costs, like the cost of lighting that restaurant, the cost of your laundry bill for all the napkins or the plates or all the linen, and then the electricity that goes into the washing machines that has to, the dishwashers. So all of these other costs are adding up. And I think that has to be reflected in the price on that menu. And yet people look at it and think, oh my goodness, I don't want to pay X amount for this food, but they don't really necessarily understand it. So I think there's still a bit to go in educating customers and people the full cost of that experience.
So how important is the PR that, let's say, for example, a new restaurant opening and the hype that comes with that? How big a difference can you guys make?
I think when you're in an industry where there is so much competition, especially in somewhere like Edinburgh, there is so many places and restaurants. You really need to have that person that is going to be pushing and talking about you and really that championing you and making sure that you're seen and you're heard and being shouted about. And that's what a PR could do for you. So you may have one restaurant opening and they've got PR and they will make sure that you've got all the restaurant critics coming in. You've got all the what's opening, the news slots, you've got influencers coming in, you're having people, you just got that amplification. And I just think when you have competition, so much competition, it just really makes that difference. However, ultimately, if what you've got is a really great offering and people will come and they will enjoy it. And word of mouth is a great thing. Word of mouth is so powerful as well. But I just think you have that edge. You will have that edge if you've got somebody behind you, pushing you and championing you. And I always say to clients or potential clients, I say, imagine you've opened up, say, Condé Nast Traveller or the Scotsman or the Times, and they've got an article and it's the 10 best restaurants in Edinburgh. And I say, do you want to be in that? Or do you just not? Or if you want to be that restaurant or part of that, having PR really helps. And I don't want to say you have to have PR to be in that, but I would say if I looked at any of these lists, if you look at me, any of these restaurant lists, I would say I could look at all of them and say, they've got PR. I know which ones have got PR. And maybe it's maybe an unfair, it may be unfair to those restaurants that can't afford it or don't have it. However, I would also say, as I just said previously, if you have the quality and if you have the offering, if you've got it absolutely spot on and right, you will also achieve that because ultimately quality shines through and
the customers become the PR, don't they?
And the customers become your PR. And there's restaurants in Edinburgh that I know and I love and they've never had PR. So it's a bit of a dark art, Brenda, I would say. It's a bit of a dark art, but of course I'm going to say, yeah, if you're opening a restaurant, you definitely need to have PR behind you.
And then what about, opening, launching, but what about turning something around? Do you help your clients to, like existing restaurants to improve their profile?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the things we've had a real testament is when you've got clients and you're 7 years down the line or 5 years down the line or however long, and you've still got these clients and you think, we opened them 5 years ago and they're still with us. So how that works is by working very closely with them, helping them and pulling out the interesting stories that are still happening. So it could be that but maybe helping them create things that make them newsworthy. So that could be everything from bringing some chefs up or having a chef collaboration. A really interesting chef from Aberdeen, for example, could come down to Edinburgh and do a collaboration. So that's creating news. It's creating something we can talk about. Or it might be they're using some really interesting seasonal ingredients that we can then speak to the media about trends in ingredients. So there might be an article that's talking about spring's particularly good. And for example, this year, a lot of the spring ingredients were coming out early. So for asparagus, so it could be they're talking about why asparagus why we're getting asparagus earlier in the year and what kind of dishes that is appearing on. So there's trends pieces. So just making sure that you're on top of the news agenda, on top of what your client's doing, helping pull out these stories, but also helping create moments that we can make PRable as well. And then you get restaurants that have maybe opened. This is quite common that you get a restaurant that's maybe opened and they didn't open with PR and they've gone 3 months down the line. Oh, nobody's really talking about us. And then they'll come to, and that is a challenge because you've missed that newsworthiness of the opening. And ultimately that is what news is about. News is about a story and having something that's new and it's about newness. So if 3 months down the line, there's that newness isn't there yet, that could be a challenge, but we've done it successfully with many restaurants, and there's lots of ways you can get around that. As long as people haven't been, if they've not had the journalists or the press in, you can still do that. You can still achieve that. And there's just other ways of going about it. But definitely the bigger impact is when you're in from the beginning. And that's really exciting. It's really exciting to be part of that journey, that opening journey. That I just love that. Just brilliant.
So what about your own PR then? Like, how's the PR for Soundbite? Is it a priority for you? Or I know a lot of businesses are doing it all for their customers and their own business. They don't do it as well as they would like. So I'm just wondering, how do you feel about your PR?
I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, and especially in a certain point in the life cycle of your business, you're very much working in your business, not on your business. So once you start to work on your business, which is, you're in a really lucky position that Martha and I now can work on the business. And so we have to put a priority on that marketing and that PR. We've got an exceptional social media manager, Tim, and he manages all of our social media. So we've got a really, I would say, a really excellent Instagram account that has grows and keeps building and growing. And we've got a really engaged account, and Tim just creates amazing content for it. So I would say that's one of our focuses, is that platform. We use LinkedIn as well, just to shout about what we do a bit more. And Martha and I, we really prioritize getting out and about and networking and meeting people. So for us, PR of our business is going out and meeting people, it's making those connections, because really a lot of our work comes in from word of mouth or recommendations. So it's either people that have worked with us or people that we've met and are interested in seeing what else we could possibly do for their business. So I think it's about getting out and making connections and meeting people. That's the business that we're in, is making those. And so that's what we do.
So I think I've covered Soundbite well and what you do for your customers. And there's been a lot there that you've said that I think the listeners can take something away from. I want to focus on Jessica now. On the journey from starting up yourself and working from home to where you are now, how have you needed to change?
Oh, I've needed to go quite thick skin, I think. There are always those moments where you come to the end of a client journey and they maybe decide they want to try working with somebody else. And I completely understand that. They want to work with somebody else for a fresh pair of eyes. And if I had my own business and I had a PR and I'd worked with them for 3 or 4 years, there's a good chance that I would say, okay, we've had a really good run at this. Let's see what somebody else could do. But when you first get that can be really disheartening and really, oh, what have I done? Have I done something wrong? So it's really about growing that thick skin and thinking, and then understanding the life cycle of a client's PR journey as well. So we will also be the agency that has been chosen over another one. So there will be other clients that we've got that have had to say goodbye to their agency. So it is swings and roundabouts, and you win some, you lose some, and you have to, whereas before I used to take it really personally. And now I'm much more, okay, do you know what? Something else is going to be around the corner and we're going to be absolutely fine. And this is no bad reflection. And it's just the way that the cookie crumbles. It's just what happened. And there will be another agency out there who will be also feeling like this because they had their client come to us. So yeah, that can be, so I've had to overcome that and just be a bit more, it's fine. It's fine. There will be new clients.
Yeah. And you're going out there and looking for them and doing the PR. So they will come. And what about Martha then? Do you think you could have got to where you are on your own, or could you have done it without Martha, or what's the value of having a co-founder?
It's very much just having that sounding board and having another person to validate your decisions and help make those decisions. And making decisions is hard. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the older you get, you have more decisions to make, and they get harder. And when you've got when you're looking after a team and those livelihoods so you're looking after their livelihoods, I think definitely having somebody that can help make those decisions with you is great. And I think, I don't think we would have grown it to the size it was if it was just me. I think having her on board, and she's very much she drives the product side of the business as well. So whilst I very much hone in on the hospitality, her area of expertise is product and tourism experiences. So that's absolutely been vital. And Martha's brilliant with crisis communications, whereas I do not like crisis communications. It makes me really anxious. Whereas Martha thrives on it. And we've got people in the business that really thrive on it. They love the adrenaline that goes with crisis comms. Luckily, we don't have to do it very often, but so there's certain areas that she is really good at, and she will take, like the crisis comms, or just certain clients that might come along, and I'll say, do you know what? I think we should have this client, but I don't think that I'm going to be the best person to manage that. That's for you, and vice versa. And she'll say, this falls within what we can do, but this is very much for you. And so I think that works really well. And she's much better at the HR side of things as well.
That's the challenge that comes with having staff, isn't it? Yes.
Exactly.
About growing your team then. How was that?
As I say, so pre-COVID, it was Martha, myself, Emma and Abby, so the team of 4. And then post-COVID, business just grew, and we then had to increase our staff numbers. And it's been a great journey. And like I say, we're really lucky. We have a really high staff retention. Rarely do we have people leaving to go to a competitor. I don't think we've ever had anybody to leave and say, I'm going to go work at one of your competitors, which again, that would be, I think for me, would be an absolute, but this never happened. But I think I don't know how I'd feel about that, but
you need that thick skin. Yeah.
That would be exactly where the thick skin comes into it. So, and it's just a joy having such a great team, and everybody works so well together. And looking after your team is just so important. And it's something that we really, really try and focus on, making sure that we have a happy team and that we are a good place to work.
You mentioned that you had worked for a great place where great business owners, and did you take a lot from that organization into Soundbite PR then?
Absolutely. And I think what I learned from that was I wanted to be the boss. I wanted to be the boss that I would have, if that makes sense. I having previously worked in agencies where it had been not a very nice experience and lots of micromanaging, and going to working with them where you were given quite a lot of autonomy just to get on with the job and the trust. That was something that I really wanted to bring to Soundbite, and to be able to let people run with things and give them that autonomy. And that was something that was really important to me. I really didn't want to be, and I certainly didn't want to be, I remember working, although having said this was for this other couple I worked for, but there was like a couple of times where they would bring on an account and you would, with absolutely ridiculous sort of targets. I remember one, it was a drinks company, and they wanted to be like Vita Coco. I think one of the coconut waters that I think Madonna had endorsed or Naomi Campbell had endorsed. And every time I was sent into the meeting with the client, he would be saying, why is this not in the hands of Kate Moss? Or why is this drink not in the hands of? And I thought, who has set these expectations? And I thought, that's absolutely never going to happen. I'm never going to do that to my team. I'm never going to go into a meeting with a client and say, we'll deliver this and this, and then have absolutely unrealistic deliverable and have to pass that on to my team to deliver. And that's not to say that it maybe doesn't happen occasionally where I go, of course we can do this, because you do want to be really positive. But I would like to think that there's never anything too onerous or just like the team have been set a completely ridiculous challenge that they're never going to be able to achieve. So that was something that was really important to me, to be the person I would want to work for.
I like that. I've written that down. I wanted to be the boss I would want to work for. It can be lonely at the top of a business. It comes up a lot in the conversations I have on here. Who's been your biggest supporter? Other than Martha, obviously.
It's been pretty good.
But they come up a lot in these conversations as well, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and actually just the people that I have around me. So what allows me to do my job is having, the strong, my parents. So I've got a daughter, a young daughter, but having
Mm.
that support network allows me to be both a mother and a business owner, and that allows me to be in work and not have my daughter necessarily always without a family member. Just so I don't know if I don't know if, yeah, I don't know if that's the right thing. I don't know if that's the right answer. But
It,
yeah, having
you
that
know,
support network, I think, allows me to run a business and be a parent and a wife and all the things I want to be, and not feel that any bit's being compromised, which is really important. We've got a really nice work-life balance. I think that for me and Martha, again, she's a mother of 2 children. For us, it was very much, this allows us to be able to have a great work-life balance.
and
And
do you
that's
think
really
you'd
important
be,
as well.
do you think you'd be able to have that work-life balance if you were employed by someone else?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. Unless it was employed by me.
Yeah.
No, I think, I don't know. It's hard for me to say, but I think about some of the being the big corporate companies. Absolutely not. No. If I think about some of the businesses that I work for in-house, no, it'd be very hard.
And for your staff, do they have that work-life balance? Is that the culture
Yeah,
that
I
you
hope so.
built within Soundbite?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. We introduced a 9-day fortnight so that everybody works 4 days one week, 5 days the next, 4 days one week. And so they have every alternate Friday off. They also have hybrid working, so they can work from the office. We do have everybody come in on a Tuesday, which is really nice. Everybody's together. And then they can work from home on other days of the week as well. And again, very flexible around if someone needs to have an appointment, that's fine. There's very flexible about that kind of thing. We try not to say no to holiday requests, and that which sometimes leaves us a little bit okay. In theory, no, we don't have more than 2 people off at one time, but actually in practice, we hate to say no to people. So sometimes maybe more holidays being taken, and then that has a little bit of a squeeze on some other people. But hopefully, I think everybody's kind. They all play together. They work together so well, and there's no competitiveness within the team either. So it's really nice.
Excellent. So
Yeah.
what's next for Soundbite PR then?
So I think at the moment we've got a really good team, and we've got a really good, so we sit at around 30 clients, and I would say probably in terms of staff wise, we are in the process of actually recruiting for somebody within the digital side of things. That's an area that's going to grow. So digital content creation and more social media management. So that's one side of the business. And then, but the majority of our business is media relations, a bit more kind of partnerships. And but then this sort of more digital side is an area that will definitely, I can see growing a bit more, moving and developing into new markets in terms of geographically. We'd like to move a little bit more into the north of England. Lots of opportunities there. And I sometimes think actually Edinburgh in Scotland is probably closer to the Lake District than London is. So why have a London agency when you could have an agency that can be on site in a couple of hours? So that's definitely an area, and there's some great opportunities in the north of England that are really, and we have had clients in the north of England that have been really wonderful. So that's just one of the things that I'm thinking about. Potentially Northern Ireland. One of our team members, or Emma, is from Northern Ireland. That's an area that we particularly like to scope out as well. And just building more, just building our presence in Scotland, and very much being that go-to agency for the hospitality industry. We're hoping to launch a regular series of kind of hospitality networking events as well, really bringing the industry together in an informal way that just brings people together from all aspects of the industry. There's certainly areas that people are brought together, so it might be like pub industry or hotels, but I think to have something that's even broader reaching would be really fun, and that's what we'd like to do. So something we're working on.
That's a brilliant idea. I was talking to one of my guests just recently. It's a brewer and started a brewery. And she was saying, when I asked the question about who supports you, she said like the industry community has been a really good support for her. So yeah, and like you said, hospitality are very supportive of each other. So it makes sense to build those
Exactly.
that
And
community
that's what
for
I
them.
mean. It would be bringing in people that are suppliers to the industry. So it's not just the operators, but people like the brewers, the distillers, the producers. So food producers, drinks producers, bring them all together and helping. And one of the things that I just love about my job is bringing those people together, whether it's informally or formally, and that network connections that are all interconnected somehow, but maybe haven't had that formal introduction. And then amazing things happen when you make these introductions. And it's just wonderful to see.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this takes you. I'll be following you on that great Instagram platform that you've got, and looking forward to hearing where it all goes. We've just run out of time. Jessica, is there anything that I should have asked you that I haven't asked? Anything you want to add to the conversation?
I did note down a few things I was going to just little bits of advice. One of my things is absolutely outsource your finance and make sure you've got a really great accountant. And I just wanted to just even shout out our accountancy firm, which is the WOW agency. And I mentioned them a little bit earlier, but they only deal with agencies. And so they just have such a wealth of knowledge and understanding of how agencies work. And they produce these bench press reports every year, which is about state of the nation, state of the industry, and it's so useful for us to be able to benchmark ourselves against other businesses in the same bracket, income bracket, turnover bracket, and understand that maybe actually, goodness, we are doing all right. Because sometimes, again, you're just working in your business and you don't necessarily go out and speak to other businesses and find out how they're faring. But actually, when you hear about it, and it's this anecdotal and the sharing of stories, and they do these wonderful webinars where people come together. And with the webinar, they will have somebody from the agency just talking about how everybody's faring in their new business pipeline. And then we go into these breakout rooms and you start talking to other agency owners. And it's just so refreshing. And it really, I come out, I'm really inspired. And they just give you so many ways of rethinking your business and so many different ways of looking at how do you be more profitable, being better with your team. So above and beyond their accountancy service which they offer, it's all this other stuff. It's just so valuable to us. And the final thing I would say, and I've learned this after quite a few years, was do your tax return as soon as possible so that when January comes, you have no shocks. And it probably sounds absolutely, I expect there's most people are saying, of course you do that. But believe me, I did not do that for about the first 3 years and everything was fine. And then I had 1 year where obviously and I got a bit of a shock when it came to January. And we're beginning of December when I said everything into the accountant, and they came back and said, "Oh, this is what you owe." And I thought, "Oh, this is not quite what I'd be putting away." So do it as soon as possible so you know exactly what's going to happen. You don't have any shocks.
That's a brilliant piece of advice. Yeah, about the numbers and the finance.
Numbers,
Yeah.
And I think for me and Martha, now we're words people. We both studied. This is the other thing. We both studied English literature. And actually, Martha studied at Glasgow and I studied in Birmingham, but I had a place to go. I was offered a place at Glasgow. So in another life, Martha and I would have been on the same university degree course. And we both took deferred entry. So we both would have done it the same year. So there's just these funny little quirks that we were like, yeah, we should be definitely, it was written in the stars that we were to be business partners, but we're not money people, we're words people. And that's what got us into this industry in the first place. So having somebody that knows how to tell you and help you with your money is so important.
I wish I'd had time to ask you about, you mentioned your star sign and you just said written in the stars. I'll have to talk to you about that another time, of the impact of that sort of thing on your business. Yeah, let's come back to that. Jessica, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
Only 1 in 3 UK entrepreneurs are female, and men are 5 times more likely to scale past £1 million in turnover than women. When we match them, we will add £250 billion to the UK economy and create millions of jobs. That's why Scale Her Up exists, to change those numbers one business at a time. Thanks for listening today. This episode helped you. Please follow the show, leave a review, and share it with another female business owner who needs to hear it. Join our Scale Her Up Facebook community and connect with me, Brenda Hector, on social media. I love hearing which episodes resonate with you. You are more capable than you think. Keep going. We're scaling up together.